So I guess I will. I'll kick off the meeting. Sadly, there's no pizza, so apologies for that. But I think it was a good call. Prabat's in warm, sunny California, while we're going to be digging out of where I am, probably 16 to 18 inches of snow, and it's heavy snow. So they shut down a lot of the trains, and it was this was definitely the meeting to do it remote streaming. So I'm glad that we had the opportunity, and Prabhat was presenting remotely. So that's good news. So I just want to welcome everyone to our March meeting. I always love these sorts of meetings that we're going to be talking about. This is a little bit a new topic that we've never discussed before. So before I jump into that, I just want to talk about just some upcoming events. So in April, we'll be having our exchanges group. We're going to be doing our annual Exchange Jeopardy contest meeting. So we'll be having, the daily doubles and Final Jeopardy. And I think we've squared away, the methods of submitting answers. This year, the grand prize is going to be an Xbox One with a game bundle. So you'll be able to walk away and play some games. So that'll be exciting. So that's coming up in April. Then later in April, we're going to be having Techstravaganza. We switched back the name from IT ProCon to Techstravaganza. So that'll be exciting. We're going to have a number of MVPs and MCTs presenting. So we're going to have 4 tracks. We're going to have Exchange, Windows, PowerShell, and Azure. So definitely keep your eyes out. And this is going to be April 28th. And it'll be 8 to 5, and then we'll be having after the conference party as well. So looking forward to that. So just make sure you set aside some time for that. And that is it. So I'm in the process of lining up some other speakers for our May meeting, and then we'll have one more for the year June, and then we're going to take off again this summer. So those July and August we won't be meeting again. So I guess I'm going to hand the mic over to Prabhat, and we're going to be digging into Exchange 2016 on Windows 2016. So I'll let you take it away, Prabhat. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ben. All right, welcome everyone. Today's meeting's topic is Exchange 2016 on Windows 2016. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Next slide is my introduction. Myself, Prabhat Nigam. If you are new to me, then I'm a CTO, Chief Architect for Golden 5 Consulting. I'm a blogger, and I write my blogs at msexchangeguru.com. I'm a speaker. I speak in New York Exchange User Group. I have my own LA Exchange User Group, and I speak in different conferences. I will be there. Hopefully, I'll be there in New York for the Tech Extravaganza, and my Twitter handle is there on the screen, and then my email address is there. All right. Overall, I have 19 years in IT and Microsoft technologies. I'm working on Exchange since Exchange 5.5 and all the version of Exchange, Office 365, hybrid, Active Directory, ADFS, Azure multi-factor authentication, which is a hot topic nowadays, and I'm implementing at many places. And I do a lot of consulting work in USA, and I have my own company in USA, which is Golden 5 Consulting. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, today's agenda overview, Windows Server 2016 issue, requirement, Active Directory, upgrade options, product life cycle, summary. So if we talk about Windows Server 2016. If you have seen some introduction or some videos, you might be aware it's Server 2016 is going to be a very powerful server uh, which can enhance your Hyper-V host for more VMs. Plus, this server is more secure in terms of security. There are a lot of security features has been added. We'll have to discuss separately if we want to discuss that. But just to say, Windows Server 2016 is much more secure, more powerful, more reliable. It's new, latest, and it's going to be last longing. So, um, if in today's, if you're going to deploy something today, you would definitely think about why should not we go for latest version of Windows Server, and what could be your issues, and so that's the whole point today. Nowadays, we want to go for the latest and the greatest, and the latest is Windows Server 2016. So we should plan for the latest. So in today's topic, we'll talk about how Exchange 2016 can be good for um, uh, Windows Server 2016. How can we deploy, and um, what can be the issues, or what made us stick to go forward. So let's move on. So first thing I'm picking is Exchange 2016 on Windows 2016 issue. So when Microsoft released Windows 2016 at last year's Ignite, um, it was a great welcome, because we all were waiting, basically. We all were waiting for Windows Server 2016, and it was like for a long delay. We were waiting, and finally it was released. And at one point, I think Microsoft Exchange team said, "Okay, you can deploy Exchange. It's okay with the CU3. You can go ahead and deploy it." I said, "Okay, wow, great thing. Let's deploy it." Um, Sooner, many customers started deploying it, because they were already testing. They were part of the beta testing. So they just when they deployed in the production, they found that their DAG got the issue. Normally, there was no issue in deployment if you don't have DAG, but thinking today's setups, most of the customers, I think 99% customers has cluster DAG environment, which is high availability, so that your mails shouldn't go down. And I think that's most critical part of any business today. And most of the customers has DAG. So when they deployed in a DAG environment, their IIS process started crashing unexpectedly. Even though it was coming back up, it was crashing. So your connections were disconnecting, and definitely users complain about it. And Microsoft team later released a blog post saying that, okay, we heard you, and we have reported to the Windows team as well. And Windows team and they said, okay, hold on your deployments. Then Windows team also updated their blog saying that Exchange CU3 is not ready. I mean, if you're doing it, if you're doing Exchange CU3, and you might see the IS crashing issue. So postpone your deployments. Don't use CU3 for now. So this issue came in I think November, October, November. We got this issue, and I think in December we had an update, and that was fixed. So Windows team, this was the Windows issue. So Windows team came up with this new KB 320 66332, which is not an Exchange fix, so it cannot be combined with CU4. But this was the fix. So what we have to do to deploy Exchange 2016 on Windows 2016 is you have to deploy this KB first, and then you have to deploy CU4, no CU3. CU3 is not recommended by Windows team, because you may get the issue with the IS. And I had also released update when it got supported. If we go back, I think I shared the link when it was not supported, so it's no deal yet. So and then we also updated our blog that okay, it is supported now. We can go ahead and deploy. Um, then you might still have a question: if what if I don't deploy the KB? What will happen? So Exchange Setup can detect if you are using the Windows 2016 operating system, then it would look for this KB article. If it is not installed, then it will stop the setup there, and it will not move on. So it's logged out. Setup is logged out. You cannot go ahead. You cannot go ahead without this KB. Then Exchange um, 20, and Exchange 2016 CU3 is not supported on Windows 2016 as per the Windows team. But you might see it listed in many other TechNet articles where it says, "Oh, you should deploy 2013 if you want to go 2013. Sorry, 2016 CU3 if you want to install Exchange on Windows 2016." But if you look for the Windows Teams blog, they have clearly mentioned it is not supported. You should not deploy it yet. Um, so I would follow that. I would say go for CU4. Then supported Exchange 2016 um, on Windows. So how it's going to be deployed? So the next point is how it's going to be deployed. It's supported, but how it's going to be deployed? So you deploy um, Windows Server standard. Then you install the hotfix, and yeah, I mentioned that Exchange still does not support cores, so don't think about Windows OS with cores. So deploy Windows 2016 standard, install hotfix, then install .NET Framework 4.6.2, which is a recommendation, but not a exact requirement. Basically, 4.6.2 would be updated automatically. It's not a prerequisite. When you will run the command let on the PowerShell to deploy the IS feature, to deploy the um, add add features and programs, then it will update it. So we'll see that option sooner in a few slides. All right. Once you do that, once you deploy .NET Framework, then you have to deploy the CU4 if you want to go for Windows 2016. All right. Let's move on to the next slide. So cumulative update for revisit. So okay, in our last session in December, we definitely went ahead and reviewed what are the features available in CU4, and and in fact I was expecting a CU5 release today, but it didn't come. Basically, we do the sessions on Tuesdays, and Microsoft also release the updates on Tuesdays. So I was expecting that it might come today, but it didn't come. I was checking. Um, right, so let's revisit CU4. So in CU4, Microsoft started giving the support for .NET Framework 4.6.2. Uh, then Then Microsoft also explained that we have to follow a specific path for the deployment of .NET 4.6.2. Um, so that was saying, so if you are on um, .NET Framework 4.6.1, then install either CU4 or install .NET 4.6.2 first. Either it doesn't matter if you're already on 4.6.1. But if you are not on 4.6.1, which means you are on 4.5.2, then you have to deploy Exchange cumulative update first. cumulative update 4 first, and then only you can deploy .NET Framework 4.6.2. If we don't follow that, then we will land up into some other issues where .NET Framework is not behaving well, and your server will be taking more hardware than required. So this is important, and it'll not be so easy to find it that performance issue is coming because of .NET. Right. So and yeah, okay. So one thing I wanted to point again that if we are going to deploy a .NET Framework 4.6.1, then there's a hotfix as well. So if you are on .NET, if you are going for only 4.6.1, then you have to deploy a hotfix as well. If you are going for .NET 4.6.2, then that hotfix is not for 2. You can directly go for .2. And going forward, Microsoft is enforcing few things, which means the next update, which is coming in this month, will have then will require .NET Framework 4.6.2, which is telling me that there's something linked with Exchange and .NET, which is linked on the back end with .NET 4.6.2, and that requires you to deploy it. Otherwise, something will break. So definitely, it's locking that. Then Windows Server 2016 IS fix with DAG. That's what we discussed. That okay. So that you have to deploy that fix, and then you will have a question: what will happen if I don't deploy? Then setup will not work. All right. So just wanted to revisit that because .NET Framework is one of the critical thing nowadays with Exchange. So I just wanted to follow the right path and revisit that because even in the coming update, we would require .NET Framework 4.6.2. All right. So the next slide is talking about Active Directory prerequisites. This is one more critical thing because with the OS and domain controller of Windows 2016, a lot of things are changing. So let's review that. So Microsoft, in one of the Microsoft blogs, they said, okay, domain controllers running Windows Server 2016 are supported, provided for functional level is Windows Server 2008 or later, which is the truth, and they're still supporting that. But then many people got confused that what will we do if we are just going to deploy Exchange on Windows Server 2016 and not deploying domain controllers. So this slide should clarify hopefully everything. So the forest functional level required for Exchange 2016 on Windows 2016 is Windows 2008 or above. Then if domain controller, if the domain controller is Windows Server 2016, then forest functional level must be then it must be 2008 R2. If it is a domain controller in another AD site which is not going to be used for Exchange communication, then it's okay to have Windows 2008 domain controller, but and the forest functional level is to 2008. But if Exchange is going to use this domain controller, which is Windows 2016, then forest functional level must be Windows 2008 R2. Then Exchange 2016 CU7 is coming in October this year, and it will force forest functional level to be Windows 2008 R2 or higher. So I mean, you have to do it. So if we are not there, we have to plan to move to Windows 2008 to Windows 2008 R2. Then domain functional level DFL is domain functional level should be Windows 2008 or above, but it follows forest function level upgrades. So if we are changing forest function level, domain function level will automatically update or upgrade. So any application which requires it lower, we have to figure out how can we update that, because going forward there's few things coming to which are going to enforce these latest updates, and we will have to match our applications. All right. So all domain controllers should be Windows 2008 or above. That is for sure, which means Windows 2003 domain controllers should be removed. And all Active Directory sites should have at least one domain. I mean, that's a basic law actually. So every AD site should have Windows 2008 domain controller with global catalog configured. Um, and recommended domain controllers are 64-bit domain controllers. So that's like basics. Uh, but the main thing is that the forest functional level, we can see that it's coming. It's going to be enforced in October update. So until you do that, you cannot deploy October's update, and maximum you can wait for 2 more updates, which means next year March. Till that time, you can hold your 2000. You can hold your deployment for upgrade for Windows 2008 or 2 domain controllers, which I think most of us would be moving or moving beyond R2. One of my customer recently installed 2 more domain controllers, which are Windows 2012 R2, not 2008 and not even 16. Anyways, all right. So this clarifies a lot of Active Directory concerns, I guess. Um, all right, let's move on to the next slide. All right, so Windows 2016 resource requirement. So as a Windows server, what will be the resource requirement? It's very minimum. Memory for 512 MB, but that's very minimum. I would still say that go for 4 gig. It says even 2 gig for servers with desktop experience installation option, and storage required is 32 gigs, and the processor required is 1.4 gig, 64-bit processor, and this is very basic requirement. So they did not increase the basic requirement to install and use the Windows 2016. Um, all right. The next slide is talking about Exchange 2016 requirements, operating system and resources. So this remains same. This is basic. There's still basic. Deploy. I mean, there's no addition if you add Windows 2016. So there's no feature which will be enabled by installing on Windows 2016. Unlike it was on R2, which enabled IP-less DAG. So the operating system supported is same: Windows 2012, 12R2, and Windows 2016. Paging file maximum can be 32 32778 MB. This is the maximum. If you are not above 32 gigs in memory, then you can use the calculation your memory plus your RAM plus 10 MB. That should be the paging file. And then memory minimum and memory requirement did not increase. It is same. It is still the same for Exchange. So 8 gigs and 4 gigs. Maximum is still the same, 96 gigs. Then processor requirement is 64 bit processor architecture. AMD is supported, but it's still Intel Itanium are not supported. All right, moving on to the next slide. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier, the deployment prerequisites for Exchange 2016, and this is the PowerShell command you will run, and that will pull up the .NET features. And then once we have installed that, then we have to deploy the KB3206632. Once we have done, we have deployed the KB, then we have to deploy the Unified Communication Managed API 4.0 runtime 64-bit, and that's it. You might find a figure. You might compare with 2012. This has reduced a little bit of prerequisites. In 2012, you will have to download the .NET framework 4.6.1, whereas in 2016 you don't have to. It does it. I think it comes with it, and it does without with this role and features installation. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so you are on Windows 2012 R2 with Exchange 2016, and you're planning to upgrade. You're thinking that why don't I upgrade to the latest OS, right? So if you're planning to do that, then it's a good practice. I like. So as per your customer, or if your management, which is again your customer, they will expect simple run the OS setup, do in place upgrade, and that's it. It would be like that, right? Or they will think, okay, if it's not like that, then upgrade the OS, install Exchange, join the same DAG, and reseed the database. At least this would be like this much easy, not much. Um, oh, that's a red cross, which means this is not the same. This is not the reality. The reality and the facts are coming here. The reality is in-place upgrade of OS is not supported in an Exchange environment. You can upgrade it later. I mean, if you don't have Exchange, you can do that. A cluster, another point is a cluster with two different OS is not supported. So cluster cannot add different operating system in one cluster. So you have to build a new cluster. And building new cluster and DAG is the only option. Building new servers in the DAG is the new option, is the only option. So so the customer expectation is always not right. They think it will be much easier, but it's not. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, this is one more important or interesting slide. I got it from TechNet, and it shows Windows 2016 upgrade options. So it is pretty straightforward actually, but you can upgrade your Windows 2012 standard to standard 2016 or data center 2016. That's nice. Um, yeah, because if you were just using Windows 2012 standard on your Hyper-V host because of some reasons, because the cost was high and your requirement was less, whatever, you can still upgrade it to data center level. Now you have more customers, more VMs. Um, then rest is pretty straightforward. The 2012 data center to 2016 data center, 2012 R2 standard to 20 Windows Server 2016 standard. Again, there's no R2 yet, so it'll be you can upgrade to normal non R2 only. Then data center version to data center version, R2 Essentials to Windows 2016 Essentials. Then Windows Storage Server 2012 standard to Windows Storage Server 2016 standard. Um, Windows Storage Server 2016 Workgroup to Windows 2012 Windows Storage Server 2012 Workgroup to Windows Storage Server 2016 Workgroup. Windows Storage Server 2012 R2 standard to Windows Storage Server 2016 standard. And then again, same thing, the Windows Storage Server 2012 R2 Workgroup to Windows Storage Server 2016 Workgroup. So these can be upgraded, and they can do the in-place upgrade for sure. But if you have the application which is not supporting, then you cannot do it. Alright, next slide is upgrade path for virtual server. So the virtual servers, if you have Exchange installed in virtual server, then this can be the upgrade path for you if you are willing to upgrade to Windows 2016 OS. So in a 4 node DAG on node 4, so I would say 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth is least important, so I'm just taking out node 4. So if you're on the node 4, we are going to start the activity. So build a new DAG, new DAG with four nodes. Oh my God! So okay, so there's no option. Basically, it's like build a new DAG with 4 nodes. Install .NET hotfix. Um, Install Exchange Server 2016 CU4 on this. Um, then create new DAG, configure database, cache, transport. Move the data like moving the mailboxes, and then clean up the Windows 2012 R2 Exchange DAG. So in case you are virtualized, it's not. I mean, one thing is that you don't have much option, or you can say you have the option, but it is much simpler to do the upgrade this way. That you set up a new DAG altogether, and you always get 180 days evolution, so you don't have to upgrade the license. So at any point of time you will not use 4 plus 4 8 licenses of OS, but you will only use 4, either 2012 or 2016. So that should not cause any extra amount of licenses. um, so this makes more simple, makes more easy and simple setup. But next slide is talking about the upgrade path for hardware server, which is more tougher. If you are on the hardware server and you decided to upgrade your OS because of XYZ reason, your security team went for Windows 2016 training. They came back and said, "Oh, we want 2016 because it is very secure, and we recommend." And oh my God, for us, for system admins, it's like us. Somebody comes and just says, "Okay, upgrade it." Okay, but then it's a lot of planning required. So we'll see what we can do in that case. In case of hardware server upgrade, um, okay, something. Okay, the arrangement was not accurate, so I'm sorry. So in a 4 node DAG on node 4, we'll start from node 4, considering that has nothing on it, or if it has, then we will remove databases. Then we will remove the node from the DAG, which is means we are removing it from the cluster. Once we remove it from the cluster, we uninstall Exchange from the server. Then we do the in place upgrade of the Windows to Windows Server 2016. Um, then we install .NET hotfix if it was not there. Um, then we install the fix the KB. I just didn't mention. And then we install the CU4 Exchange CU4 on the server. Then we create DAG on this server, new DAG again. It's new DAG. Configure database, cache, and transport settings. Then on the node 3 we do the same thing and add this node 3 to new DAG, and create the database copies. So at this point you have two DAGs, two clusters. One has 2 node which has all the production mails, and the second one is a new DAG which has nothing, but that's on Windows 2016. That's on Windows 2016 and the new DAG and Exchange 2016 on it. So now at this point you will move the mailboxes, and once all the mailboxes are moved to the new Windows 2016 DAG, then it's time for adding those two other hardwares to the new server. So you will start removing everything on those two servers. Remove database, remove them from the DAG node, destroy the DAG, the old DAG, and then you follow the same path as node 4, and they will be part of the new DAG. So end result, there will be 4 servers, and you can add the database copies and change the active preference settings so that some database will be active on all the nodes. Alright, so this is the upgrade path for the hardware server. Um, add database copies. Already said. So next is the product lifecycle. So so this is more. I think this is more critical for me and probably for you too, because now look at that. Windows 2012 R2 mainstream is ending on uh, 2008 18, which is like next year, October. Windows 2012 mainstream will end, and then the extended support will last for 5 more years. But I think extended support will cost you more if you are not probably you have to buy it, or you have to be the premium customer of Microsoft. So if we try to see the gap between the mainstream uh, of Windows 2012 and mainstream of Windows Server 2016, then it's 4 years, minimum 4 years if we see the mainstream. And if we see mainstream of 2012 and extended support of 2016, then it's 9 years. Because today your company could not afford to buy the extended support, so you were the mainstream. But down the line, 9 years, or maybe 4 years, you might be able to buy the extended support. Then you might be able to keep the same environment for 9 years extra. But okay, going back again, so from so Windows 2012 is expiring, mainstream support expiring 2018, and extended is ending on 2023. So now the point to see is Exchange. When is Exchange expiring? Oh, Exchange is expiring on in 2020, which is 2 years after your OS. So imagine a situation then that you are in year 2023, you are on Windows 2012 with Exchange 2016, everything working well, and Microsoft ended the support. Now you don't have any support, but you still have support available for Exchange. So you are stuck there. So probably this is the time when you are going to deploy, or even if you have time, then you can move to Windows Server 2016, because that allows you to keep the same Exchange server for 2 more years. Because at this point we don't know whether new Exchange server is coming in 2019 or no. But we know what we have is Exchange Server 2016, and Microsoft has deployed it a lot. It's so many servers, and if Microsoft comes up with the new Exchange server, they will have to do it again. I mean, they have to upgrade it. They have to upgrade all the servers. The internal cost increase. So rather, what I heard is Microsoft is going to keep on sending us the updates, not the whole server update. Uh, but we never know. So it may come in 2019. But if in a thought process of, if Exchange server does not come anymore, and this is the only Exchange server for forever, or at least till 2025, there's no Exchange server, then your Windows 2012 OS will expire before your Exchange server support will expire. So that points you to good planning. Maybe you want to plan for worst. So we should go for Windows Server 2016. That's one critical point to understand. All right. So how do we decide on the operating system? That's one more critical thing. That okay, I would say current Exchange version, if it supports. Let's go for the latest. Yeah. Uh, so if you have 2016, and or you are going to deploy 2016, then go for CU4. And with CU4 you can you can deploy Exchange on Windows 2016. And then it depends on the licensing of operating system. So if you're finding the difference between the cost of Windows 2012 and Windows 2012 R2 and Windows 2016 R2 is a lot, your finance is saying no, we don't have the budget, then probably you might stick to 2012. But if your licensing and budget allows you, you might like to go for 2016. Then the Hyper-V matters. Well, basically, even if we deploy Hyper-V host as Windows Server 2016, it should support VM without licenses. So without licenses requirement for 2012. So going back one step, so if you have Windows operating system of data center version, and you deployed that on Hyper-V host, then Microsoft says you just have to buy the data center version, and you can deploy any number of Windows servers in that Hyper-V host, and you don't have to buy the licenses for the guests, only buy the license for the hosts. So if that you follow, and then you have Windows 2016 or 2012, then you might like to restrict yourself to 2012, because if you go to the different version, you might need to spend more money. So that could be another point. Um, if you are virtualized, and that's a Hyper-V matter. Um, then Active Directory dependency. Let's say you have an application which requires Windows 2003 and Active Directory 2003. You are done there. You cannot go for Exchange 2016 even, because that require you to remove a Windows 2003 domain controller. So you can't even deploy Exchange 2016 because you cannot uninstall Windows 2003 domain controller. So the Active Directory is one more critical thing. It's the base, but there could be some more applications which are dependent on depending on the old Active Directory attributes, and if you upgrade it, it might not work with the new updated attributes. So that's Active Directory dependency as well. Then we have a long-term goal. So again, what your company visions that if we deploy today something, you're going to deploy new stuff. So they might say, okay, our long-term goal is that we are targeting this deployment for long-term, for next 6 years, 10 years. Uh, so we would not let we will go for the latest rather than letting it expire in the middle, like we saw the life cycle. So that will also that will also uh, be a point of decision making whether we should go for Windows 2016 operating system or 2012. Alright, so security and compliance approval as well. So like I said, your security team had gone for the training with Microsoft, and they came back and said, oh, we want Windows 2016 operating system to be deployed on all applications ASAP, because it has most high level of security which can safeguard our servers. So that also matters. And on the other side, your security team can also say, security and compliance team can also say that, oh, our practice is to wait for Service Pack 1. Service Pack 1 has finished, so we are waiting for at least 4 updates, or we will wait for the R2. So they might block your way. They might say, okay, you can't deploy it until we have the version, at least one version renewed, or we identified what are the issues coming. So they'll follow the best practice, and they might not let you deliver let you deploy Windows 2016. So there are both sides of it. Um, it matters. The concern matters. All right. So next slide um, is a survey. So okay, I'm running a survey nowadays, which is like when you open Outlook and you have a lot of emails, just not new, you have a lot of emails, like thousands of emails, and you want to search something, then if you see a lot of delay, then if you see that it's taking a lot of time, then probably you might like to update me with this survey link. I will just post in the meeting, as well as in the I'll share with the I'll share the slide with Ben, so he will share it further as well. Um, all right, so I think that's it. And if you want to connect with me for more, want to give a feedback, you have my email address, you have my blog, you have my Twitter, MS Exchange Guru's Tutor ID, Facebook, with Facebook group, YouTube channel. You wanna? I think I'm recording, so if the recording has been good, and then you can listen. You will see that uploaded in YouTube channel, and then we have LinkedIn groups. You can connect with me for more. All right, thank you, everyone.
Hey, Prabhat, thank you very much. One thing I was going to say is I have a couple questions that
Sure.
I meant to tell people to they could save their questions to the end, or they can ask them as we were doing the presentation. So I just had some questions just relating the presentation, just to give a little clarification. When you mentioned, when you install CU4, will it automatically install that KBIS hotfix?
No.
Okay, so one would have to go back and manually download it and install it.
Yeah.
Okay,
That we are talking about the Windows 2016 hotfix, right?
correct.
Going back. Just a
That was
second.
very, it was like slide, I want to say 2 or 3. It was very early on.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
So this KB you have to deploy manually. It will not be deployed. It's a big update. It's, I think, 1 gig update.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's not so small. So
Okay. And then the other question I had is just keeping on this slide. In the past, when in previous Exchange installs, when you were in the setup GUI, it would handle the roles and feature installs. So one didn't have to use the PowerShell. Does 2016 do that as well?
oh, in the GUI, yeah. Yeah, so this command, this PowerShell command, you don't need to run it if you can do it from the GUI.
From the GUI, okay. And also, does the setup, do you have to run it on domain controllers? Remember how some of the previous installs had schema updates?
Yeah, so CU4 does not have any schema update, but if you were not on CU3, then you have to do it. So one previous version might have something. Even if it doesn't have schema update, it has Active Directory permissions update. So you have to run the AD preparation, if not the schema preparation. So you still need to, so basically you don't have to directly log in to domain controller. You can run it remotely. So that's why we are using that's why we are installing the RSAT ADDS, the Active Directory remote tools.
The RSAT
Yeah, RSAT.
remote, yeah, where's the RSAT?
Last thing.
Oh, I see, ADDS.
Yeah,
I see, okay.
yeah. That's what it is doing. It's installing ADDS, Active Directory Services remote server administration tool.
I see, okay, that's good. And then the other question was, you had mentioned about just about requirements. What is the desktop experience installation option?
That's a Windows OS option.
Is that required?
No, that's an option.
Oh, it's totally optional.
I
Okay.
so that
Okay. Mike also had asked about, does the deployment assistant wizard include guidance for the that ISKB? Do they like provide a link or any information just regarding when you're trying to install 2016?
deployment assistance wizard. Uh, I'm not sure about deployment assistance wizard because if he's talking about, hey Mike, are you talking about deployment wizard, which is at Microsoft TechNet? It might be there, but if you're talking about you can unlock, you can unmute. I think you can come unmute if you can, if you have the mic, if you have the sound.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Can you hear me? I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. The reason I don't mute because I have background noise. But quickly, this deployment assistant, and I was wondering if they include guidance to install this KB or not. Because sometimes, like I use the deployment assistant often when I'm doing upgrades because it covers a lot of things. I just don't know if it includes this KB, which I didn't know of until today.
It should be there. Microsoft has updated
Okay.
at most of the places. It should be there.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Um, for the Windows 2016 upgrades, even if you're a single server, a single Exchange server, you're not running a DAG, are you allowed to run an upgrade, or is that also forbidden?
I'm sorry. Uh,
If you have a single Exchange server, say you're one Exchange server, it's running on 2012 R2, and you want to upgrade to Windows 16, are you allowed to do an upgrade
in place
in
update,
OS?
no.
No, you're not. You're blocked.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, probably it might not block you, but it will cause the harm to Exchange. So from Exchange point of view, it is not recommended.
I see. Okay. From the whole, Exchange, obviously Exchange is going to have run later, from what I recall. It has a later uh, termination of support than Windows 2016.
Yeah.
So the question that I'm curious about is the the yes, that's exactly. Oh, it was Windows actually was later.
Windows 2016 is later, but Windows 2012 is earlier. So if you're in 2012, that's a risk. You
Yeah.
might like to think right now.